Hi, my name is Sage, and this week I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. So I just winged it, and you're going to come along with me. To get started, I'm going to need a wooden base, some tinfoil, and some clay. And so I'm going to start with some tinfoil so I can make the base of whatever it is that I come up with. And I start by making 2 small tinfoil balls, and then I wrap them in clay. And once they're enveloped in the clay, I then roll them around to make kind of like a snowman shape. Before then giving it a tail, ooh, I just felt like he needed a tail. I then pinch his face to give him a snout, ooh, he's gonna be able to smell so good. I then give him some little leggies, ooh, and I put them at the bottom so he's kind of like a bipedal monster, ooh. And now it's time to attach his little feet, ooh. And once they're secure, I then move on to his belly and I give him like some little chonkiness just because it's the holidays, yay. He's probably eating real good. Before then giving him a mohawk because mohawks are rad. I then get distracted and start working on his little nose again. Before then spending a long time smoothing him all out just to give him some textured fur later on. Ooh, I'm indecisive. Then I give him some more chonk because obviously he's going to be eating some bread. It's the holidays. Next, I roll a little log so that I can put it on his back and his tail so then I can extend his mohawk. And once it's extended, I then move on to giving him some eye sockets so then he can see in the future. Then I get distracted and start working on his feet instead of giving him some eyes. I then do another U-turn and then make him a horn. Just one singular one right now. And then I do another U-turn and start working on his feet yet again. I spend such a long time to just change them completely in the future. Yay for being indecisive! And then, just as you guessed, another U-turn. I then make another horn. And this is where the subtle foreshadowing becomes real. I start giving him more of a fluffy texture. And how I do that is I take my ball stylus and just run it up and down to give him some more textured lines. So since he's becoming fluffified, that means he's gonna need a fluffy name, like Soup. His name is now Soup, and I am making Soup's mohawk pointy, at least pointier. And now since Soup has a name, he's gonna smile. He's a happy little guy, ready to take on the world. And by the world, I mean he's ready to eat some bread. I then fix his mohawk to make sure it's in tip-top shape. Before then, giving him some nostrils. Ooh, he can now smell the garlic breads, the rye breads, the cheese breads. And now I'm giving him some bigger feet. Ooh, he's gonna make a real splash. And once I attach more of the clay, I then fluffify his feet. And once his feet are ready to go, I then go over his body one more time just to make sure he's extra fluffy. I then take another U-turn, and now he has eyeballs, so now he can see the bread. And this is what he looks like, and now I'm gonna make some mushrooms, because obviously Soup deserves it. And to make the first one, I take some tin foil, fold it on itself, scrunch it up, and then make a curve in it. And then I put some clay over top of it until it looks like this. And that's the stem ready to go. I then ensure that I like the proportions before then moving on to the shroom part. I take some clay and mold it between my hands so that it becomes somewhat circular, and this will be the top part of the mushroom. I also make a mini one off screen. I kept noticing that my big mushroom kept falling over, so what I do is I put some more clay at the bottom of it just to ensure that it has a sturdier base to stand up. And since I was looking at the mushroom, I thought that it looked too simple, so I end up taking my ball stylus and running it up and down the stem to get every nook and cranny to be a nook and cranny. I then put the mushroom's hats on, and then suddenly it's starting to look like a monster diorama. I then go place these 3 in the oven and let them cool. And now I can work on the wooden base. For the first step, I paint it brown, and then I take some fake craft moss and hot glue it to the top of it, before then pushing it to the side because Soup is now cooled and ready to be painted. And I start by painting him purple because purple's a cool color. Get it? And it would be absolutely crazy if I then decided to paint over the purple with brown because I decided purple wasn't the vibe. That would be absolutely asinine. And totally unlike me, I make decisions and I stick with them. I then paint Soup with a second layer of purple paint. Next, I dry brush him with blue to hit all of the ridges to make it look extra dimensional. Before then deciding I'm gonna paint his mohawk blue cause that's rad. And once I'm done painting his mohawk blue on both sides, I then move on to the purple yet again. And what I'm doing with the purple is just filling in the little gaps just to make it so that the blue isn't overpowering, and it'll also make the blue stand out even more. I then give Soup green eyes because obviously that was the vibe. I then continue on the green love and decide to paint the tips of his mohawk green and his little horns too. Before then also going into some of the purple gaps and filling them in with green too because I really love this color green. It's so nice. But then the more I looked at it, the more I hated it. So then I go in and paint him brown. And just like the first time I painted him, I paint his mohawk yet again, except I go in with a light brown color. And once I paint both sides of his mohawk, I then paint his horns to also match. I then go in with some more green and paint his eyeballs green yet again. It's such a pretty color, I couldn't not use it. Next, I put him aside just so I can start to work on the mushrooms. And I start with the big one and I use a light brown before then going in with a yellow color and blending them as I paint on the mushroom itself. Next, I go in with a small dry brush that's filled with dark brown paint just to hit all of the edges to give it some more dimension until it looks like this. And now I paint the top part of the mushroom the pale yellow color. And I also paint the small mushroom using the same colors. After that, I go in with raw sienna on the outer ridges of the shroom just to give it some more details. And I do that on both mushrooms. Next, I go back to Soup and I paint him with another layer of brown. And the brown looks a little different, and it's just because I'm constantly mixing it myself, so it's a little darker and a little lighter, but everything turns out great because then I go over top that wet layer with raw sienna that you saw me just use. And the reason why I'm using the raw sienna is because in my mind, Soup's lore is that he really likes the mushrooms and he hangs out and is incognito with them. You know, he can hide amongst them. Next, I give some highlights to his mohawk. I go in with the pale yellow color and get all of the edges. And once Soup is highlighted, I then go in and paint his nostrils black. And I also paint his mouth black too on the innards because I want it to stand out because he's obviously a smiley guy. I end up making some mistakes, but I go over it with the raw sienna so everything's great. And now I'm painting Soup's pupils black so now he can see all different types of breads and obviously mushrooms too. Once the pupils are good to go, it's now time to hot glue the mushrooms and Soup onto the wooden base. And then the craft is done. Ooh, and I would just like to say thank you so much for watching, and this will be the final video of the year from me, so I will see y'all next year. I also want to say happy holidays from me and my cat Atti, and that's pretty much it. So now it's on to the glamour shots. Oh, and also, my cat Addie was editing with me, and she sang this tune, and I wanted y'all to hear it.